Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing barred shots. At least that's the way I'm interpreting this word. I think it is barred, as in caged, locked away. Although I went for a laser cage in this particular case because when you actually see the grid from today's constructors from FullDeck and Missing a few cards, the idea of having lasers bouncing around corners will make a lot of sense. It's essentially arrow sums that seem to be bending around corners, well not bending, bouncing around corners across this grid. What else do I want to say before we get going? I was very tempted to feature another XV puzzle given the mess up with yesterday's video, but I know you guys appreciate the variety of souls as opposed to just lasering in on a particular variant, other than fog of course. Let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule set with barred shots by FullDeck and Missing a few cards. It's standard Sudoku, arrows and cages, and if you know what all of that means, link in the description down below for you to play. On the off chance that you don't, we need to place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, every 3x3 box, so that's normal Sudoku rules. Arrows, so digits along an arrow must sum to the number indicated in the circle from which the arrow emerges. Digits may repeat along arrows if allowed by other rules. So these three cells, for example, will come up to a sum when you add up all these three cells, and that sum needs to be written inside the circle. It's clearly obvious in this case I can't repeat it on any arrows. All the arrows are either in the same box, same row, same column, so never mind, don't worry about repeating digits. Cages, digits in cages cannot repeat and must sum to the value shown in the upper left corner of the cage. So these three cells add up to 17, these three add up to 15, 15, etc. So, as always, to play along, link in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Now, we played a very similarly visual puzzle before, and the main thing that caught me out from memory was the fact that I just did not pencil mark enough. Here is something that immediately jumps out. Box 1. Right. 17 cage and 3 cells, not particularly significant on its own. But even if I maximize this cell, these two cells have to add up to 8, so that plus the 9 it gets to 17. But 8 plus the 1 in here, which is the absolute minimum I can get to, will give me a 9 as a sum. So we are actually entirely forced and we have a break in here. So these two cells must sum up to 8, and it's not 1, 7, it could be 2, 6 or 3, 5. We've got something very similar going on here. Except we now, as you turn around, it gets sort of looser and looser in terms of the constraint. These two cells can be as low as 7 with a 9 to get to 16. And then obviously this could be as high as 2. So I can go with 1, 2. I can go with 8, 9. No, yeah, 8, 9. And then these two cells can go as low as 7, but as high as 8. Not as useful. Is it? So if that's 1, these two cells have to be 8, and then essentially we've got the same set of digits as there. If that's 2, these two cells are summing up to 7. And I wouldn't have 2, 5. I would have 1, 6 and 3, 4. Yeah, not too sure actually. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm just not paying attention. 9 tells me that is definitely 8. So I've lost essentially my kind of degree of freedom, because this is now a maximum of 7, therefore this is another 9, and the maximum of 7 with a 1 in here, yeah, that works. Sorry, not paying attention. Right, this 9 tells me this time, now I'm fairly sure there is indeed a degree of freedom in here. 2, 5, 3, 4 out of 7, yeah, that's correct. Excuse me. 9 can't be on these two cells, just Sudoku, we may as well do that on the way. That's definitely 9. These two cells add up to 9 to get to 12. This has to be a 3. Look at me doing Sudoku. I feel very proud of myself whenever I do that, by the way. Really proud. 9 can never be on two cells that come up to an arrow sum that is a single digit. So 9 is in here, 9 is in there. Again, same logic, can't be on here and then add up to something that's less than 9. 9 is none of these cells, so 9 is definitely here. It lines up in row 7 and 8, and therefore the only place for it, which is not here apparently, in row 9 is inside these two cells, where it would have to be accompanied with a 1, 2, so that they do add up to 3, plus the 9 to get to 12. So this is forced as well. Interesting so far. So no 9 in here, no 8 in here. So I'm already as low as 7, which doesn't work because these two cells would add up to 7 and then another 7 in here, so that's not going to work. 6 would require these two cells to add up to 6 and then an 8 in here, which is not available. So essentially this has to be a 5, two cells that add up to 5, and a 9 to get to 14. This is forced. And therefore this is not 1, 4, this is 2, 3. Excellent. Not 9. So a maximum of 8, just because this is 15 from the logic that we did earlier, I know that it could go as low as 7. Essentially, if I have 7 on these two cells, plus the 1, no, excuse me, 6 on these two cells, plus the 1 to get to 7, and a 9 in here, no 9 in there. Pay attention, sleuth. Kind of, oh, hang on, I made a mistake with that. Have I? No, I deduced this 9 first. And therefore there were no 9s in here, including this cell. And that's how I ended up with rows 7 and 8 as such. Which means, again, no 9 inside the 15 cage. So this is a maximum of 8, meaning this is a minimum of 7. And a minimum of 7 gives me a 1 and an 8. So this is entirely forced again. 1, 8, etc. Lovely. This is now 8 because clearly not 2 or 3. No, if I can do Sudoku, I really should. 8 is now up here, excuse me. These two cells add up to 7. They're not 1, 6. They are 2, 5 or 3, 4. Not hugely useful, to be fair. No 9, no 8. This can still be a ton of options. Not 3, of course. Without the 1, so 1, 3 is off the table. So this is at least 5 with 2, 3. Of course, I can go 6 or 7. Okay, I'm kind of thinking keep going round. So remember, no 9 inside the 13 cage. We know that much. Even if there is an 8, these two cells are a 5, plus a 1, this is at least 6. So this is 6 or 7, because it's not 8 or 9. Excuse me. Even if this is 7 with a 1, these two cells are adding up to 6, and therefore this is at least a 7. There is a degree of freedom, so 7 or 8, and this is therefore 1 or 2. Unless I can get rid of the 8 for some reason, which so far I'm not missing some of the more obvious Sudoku that, to be fair, I've entirely missed the first time round. Two cells that add up to 12, no, sorry, excuse me, that add up to 9, and they're clearly not repeating digits, it's not 3, 6, but a ton of options to get there. Can I get to 16 without 8 or 9? I think the answer to that is probably going to be yes. Because 5, 6, 7 gets me to 18, so I've got plenty of degrees of freedom. Of course, that's not a 9 anymore, that is a 9. I think we've done pretty well on the 9s, haven't we? Except for this remaining X-wing, actually, and a 9 in here. 1, 2 pair in row 9. That is not a 2. That is not a 5. Not a huge amount to go on there. This cell, it's at least, it's a maximum 7, excuse me, not at least. And it can't be 4. essentially. 1, 2 is gone, so that's not a 3. 1, 3 is gone, that's not a 4. 2, 3 with a 5. So again, we've got 5, 6, 7 in here, and 2 cells that add up to as much. Now, actually, we can actually solve this, can't we? Yeah. 5 doesn't work because 1, 4 and 2, 3 are not available. 6 doesn't work because 1, 5 and 2, excuse me. Let me try that again. 5 doesn't work because 1, 4 and 2, 3 is not available. 6 doesn't work because 1, 5 and 2, 4 is not available. This has to be 7, and it's not 2, 5, and it's not 1, 6. It can only be 3, 4, and a 7. That 3 gave me 4 and 3. 2 cells that add up to, again, 9, wasn't it? Not 3, 6, not 2, 7. 1, 8, and 4, 5 both seemingly work. Can I do better? Not for now. So having the 1, 2 pair here was very helpful. I don't know if I can remove options in these arrow sums at all. I'm not delighted by my solve, by the way. I seem to be jumping all over the place, which is not great. Any of the significant? Just ones, not really. One's in here, 3's in there. I mean, these are just not very useful pencil marks. No 8 is an 8. Another 6, 7. We should probably start thinking about the column. So you have another 1, 2, another 6, 7, a 3, and a 4. The 3, obviously, we've already established is up here. Can the 1 or 2 be in there? I think the short answer is yes. Even if I get away with as low as a 1, nothing stops me from having 7, 8, for example. So not hugely helpful. Not too sure where to look next. 4, 3, and 5 are not here. Let's think about these 2 cells. We haven't even pencil marked them. So if it's 7, these 2 cells add up to 6, which would require essentially the second 1, 2 to be in here with a 4 or 5. And the 4 and 5 are not here. Essentially with the 4 or 5 in there, with the 1 or 2 in here, except of course it's not a 1. So if this is 6, this is entirely forced. And if it's 5, surely this is entirely forced as well. Because again, you'd need a 3 or 4, which would have to be in here. So, right, let's do this. So 3, 4, 5, and a 1 or 2 is essentially what I'm concluding here. Because to get to 6, it's a 1, 2 with a 4, 5. I need somewhere with a bit more room actually to show you this. It'll have to do. 6, forget the pencil marks for a second, would have to be a low digit of 1, 2 with a 4, 5. 5 would have to be a 1, 2 with a 3, 4. The 3, 4, 5 triple is significant because essentially the high digit, the 3, 4, 5, is not here, it's there. And then the low digit, the 1 or 2, has to be there. Where it's not 1, it's explicitly 2, explicitly 1. Explicitly 1 should tell me something about this, shouldn't it? Does it? I mean, it gives me a 2 and a 1 in here. No, oh, there was no 2 anyway. Never mind. 3, well, it does remove a 5 from here, so this is now 3 or 4. If it's 5, 2, 3, that is still 8. If it's 6, 2, 4, this is 7. I'm not sure I can go much further yet. 3 and 8. Just restoring these pencil marks. interesting, but... Oh, actually, hang on. Sorry. 8, which I did ages ago, tells me it's 7, which tells me this is 6. Therefore, that's 4. That's now 7, and that's now 6. Had I paid attention way earlier. But I'll take it. 4 means that's not 4, that's not 3. The lower of the 2 digits is now in here. Probably I could have eliminated this a while ago with this 2-3 pair that I've ignored for ages, probably. No 9. Oh, never mind, that's not useful. 8 is not here. 8 is there. Is that useful? Not sure. It does give me a 7 in here, according to Sudoku. Gives me a 7 up here. Not very helpful. So the rest of this is 6, 7, 8, 9. Can't do anything about the 6 or the 9, frankly, so I can't exactly force them in a particular side. Kind of surprised I can't resolve this. Shall we do a bit of maths? So we know that these two cells are 9, 18 plus 22, that's, sorry, 18 and 22, that's 40. These two cells add up to 5, and it can't be 1, 4. It's got to be 2, 3. Is that going to work? Feels like it does. I think it does. Let's just double check. 10, 25, and 9 and 9 is 18, and 2 is 20. 20 and 25 is indeed 45, so this is correct. No 2, 3, therefore no 5, 6. Now, is the 9 forced yet? So it could still be 1, 8. It could still be 4, 5. So essentially, it's a 1, 8 or 4, 5. There is no 6. The 6 has to be in here with a 9, as in 1, 8 or 4, 5. So it's not going to force me to do anything. Of course, the 3 gives me 2 and 3 in here. Forces a 2 in one of these two cells. Doesn't feel significant. Can I do anything in here? Can I start to eliminate at least some options? So the 5 we said would not be 1, 4. It would have to be 2, 3, which is still possible. The 6 would have to be 2, 4, which is still possible. Then the 7, well, it's not 1, 6. 2, 5 is not possible. 3, 4, well, the 3 would have to be here. The 4 would have to be there. So this is actually forced. I say force, as in, that's that's the entire pencil marks. And I still haven't placed a 6, and I still haven't placed an 8. Which admittedly, both could be here. Could I do anything similar to what I've done earlier? It doesn't feel it. It's not quite as full as this box was. Right, so my assumption right now is there's probably some reasonably obvious Sudoku staring me in the face that I'm just entirely ignoring. So let's have a think. 8 is not there, or here. 8 is in one of these two cells. If the 8 is inside a 16 cage, these two cells will add up to 8. And 1, 7 certainly works, even if 2, 6 and 3, 5 doesn't. Feels almost highly likely this is the case. Can't even force any of the digits in here. Any two combos of these 3 digits works, which is, don't want to use the word frustrating, that's not fair, but certainly accurate. I'm missing some Sudoku, there's no doubt about it. Some coloring maybe? What is it, 1 of 2 cells? We're still saying that 1 can still be inside a 16 cage with 2 cells that add up to 15, so 7 and 8. Puts the 8 in here with the 1-7 pair, which was an option we discussed earlier. Maybe time to fully pencil mark this column. It's not 1, so it could be 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it could be 4, it's not 5, 6, it could be 7, it's not 8, it's not 9. So it's 1, 4, 7. Now 4 and 7 gets me to 11, and I would need a 5 in here, so that's an option. 1 and 7 also works with an 8 in here. 1 and 4 would get me to 5, and I require 11 in here, so that's not going to work. So there's definitely a 7 in here in one of these 2 cells. Some progress with a 5 or 8. So the 7 is in here, and then up there is 1, 3, 4. To give me the 1, 3, 4 triple that I sort of need. Okay. It's not really enough. Means that there's a 7 in here. Oh, there's a 1 in there, that's helpful. 2 cells that add up to 14, that's 6, 8. 8, of course, gave me a 6 and an 8. This is not 1, 8 pair, this is 4, 5 pair. Is the 4, 5 helpful? Nope. No 5s, no 5s. Is a 5, that is helpful. That's 4, that's 3. That means this is a 3, 5 pair, except that's the 3, that's the 5. And then in here is 6, 8, 9. In fact, the 5 gave me a 6 and a 2, I assume. Yep. And therefore an 8 in here, and then a 6, 9 pair. In fact, that is a 6, that is a 9, that is a 9, that is a 7. This is very helpful. So it was Sudoku, but I'll be honest, I'm not going to call that obvious. What's in here? 6. Not 2, not 5, not 3, not 4. Is that enough? It's not enough to solve. 2 cells that we know what they are. 5 and something. Is that 3, 5? Looks it, doesn't it? No, it's not 5. 3, 8. Less useful. And then 4, 5. So it's just I was hoping for a 3, 5 pair, which would have really brought this back, but not quite. So we've got all of the arrow sums at this point, except this one. So it really is a game of Sudoku at this point. 1, 2, 3, I need a 4 and a 5. 2, 4, 5. This is a 4, 5. This is a 2, 5. And this is any of the 3. Oh, gone. We still have all the options available. And this is no longer a 5. It's 6 or 7. And this is 6, 7, 8. This is not a 6. This is not a 7. 6 and 7 do have a common digit, which is the 4, isn't it? Because it's either 2, 4 or 3, 4. So there's definitely a 4 in here. And that's not a 4. resolved, not resolved. I'm going to have to do more pencil marks. 4, 5, 6, 7. I need a 1 somewhere. 1 is in here. That is not a 6. That is a 6. That is 2, 4. These are not 4s. That's a 1, 7 pair. That's an 8. That's an 8. That's not 8. So that was there ages ago. I do like solving things the long way around, as you often notice. So there's nothing unusual about what I'm doing here. If anything, you should be entirely shocked if I do it any other way. No, 2 is a 2. That's not a 7, is a 7. That's a 6, that's a 5, which gives me 4, 5. Does it give me any more? Nope. I mean, it does put a 5 in here, which gives me 5, 4, 5, and 4 and 5, and 2 and 5. Lovely. And 7 and 1. That's all the pencil marks resolved. So I don't want to say it's going to be downhill from here, but we should be able to solve it reasonably smoothly from this point onwards. So that's 6. No, that's the 6. I need a 4. And if I've not made any mistakes, that's a 3 for the finish. It's a beautiful puzzle from FullDeck and Missing a few cards. I will dig out the other one I was thinking of where it really was it arrow sums or was it thermometers or was it a combo of both in killer cages? I can't remember exactly, but it looked very similar. And it was very much around, you really should pencil mark, which I think is a conclusion I'm almost getting to here as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. Fantastic puzzle for a Sunday. And I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye for now.